All right, today we're going to talk about the 5 best ski resorts in New England. Okay, I think there's a lot of great resorts in New England. I think we get shafted a lot in terms of our rankings, our proud, just the way that people talk. People talk about us like we're dirt, like we're bad. Like, oh, you got to go ski in New England. Oh, he's good because he skis shit in New England all the time. And it's like, dude, that's not true. There's some of the best skiing in the world that you can have right here in New England. And I think that starts with number 5. Number 5 is Mad River Glen, which is located in Vermont. It's beautiful. It's small. It's what you imagine, like in a fairy tale, a small New England ski resort is like. They still have a single chair. They're really off the grid. They're locally based. There's so many things about Mad River that make it special, but the reason they're number 5 and not number 3 is because they only allow skiers. And I think that idea is dated in 2025, which is really not Mad River's vibe. Number 4 is Smuggler's Notch. Smuggler's Notch is beautiful. It is a great family destination. It is on the other side of Stowe, and there's going to be a way to connect yourself to Stowe pretty soon. I put Smugs up here because I think there really needs to be a resort on this list that is really dedicated to one. Obviously, there's really, really good skiing, but it's a great family resort. It's a great place for people to be. There's nothing else I can say other than the place is just really, really cool. And again, Vermont gets a win. Number 3. Number 3 was kind of where I had a lot of debates where I was like, okay, how do we approach this list? I think number 3 for me has to go to Killington solely because great family place, really great skiing, great terrain. They just have a bigger operation and a really well-oiled operation over at Killington right now. And I think that it's just really hard to give them anything other than a third place. Right? Like the skiing somehow is always good at Killington, even when it's really shitty. Make it make sense. Killington at number 3 is going to be my pick. And I think for number 2, we're going to have to go with a tie because otherwise things are just not going to be okay. For number 2, in a tie, we are going to go Jay Peak and Stowe Resort. The best skiing in the East is, generally speaking, in Vermont, with the exception of one place. Now, if we're talking backcountry skiing, obviously there's a different conversation to be had altogether, and New Hampshire takes the win without even batting an eye. But if we're talking resort skiing, I think resorts in Vermont give you a very different feel, a very different perspective than a lot of the surrounding states. When you're in Vermont, it feels like you're on vacation. It feels like you're in this quiet, serene, beautiful place that was made solely for this purpose. Obviously, none of that is actually true, but it's worth talking about. Jay and Stowe could not be more different in terms of the type of resort. Jay has everything for a family, but there's no town. There's nothing going on around there. But you know what is going on? Some of the best skiing in New England is at Jay Peak. Like, there's no argument there. They get more snow than everybody else. It is like constantly, they're in their own weather pattern all the time. It is crazy the way that mountain makes things happen like no other in terms of snow. Stowe is tied because Stowe does a lot of shitty things. Paid parking, just the general lift lines, general veil practices. I mean, we've seen what's going on with that right now. At the same time, you're talking about an absolutely world-class resort that's beautiful, that's scenic, and that has some of the best skiing in the country. Like, all of your favorite content creators probably spend some time at Mansfield, especially if they're in New England. Like, shout out Mike Hayes. That dude is up at the top of Mansfield every single day. Rain or shine, does not care. You got people like Noah Dines coming out. There's the list of people that came from that area and that ski resort is bananas. You can't give them less than this spot. I mean, it's really a tough argument to give them even number 2. So Stowe and Jay tied at number 2. I know that is going to make people unhappy, and I know people are going to say, you should just add one on the... I know. My final pick is Cannon. And the reason my favorite resort is Cannon is not because they pay us, which, full disclosure, they are a sponsor of the Out of Bounds podcast, the Out of Collective, the whole deal, and they have been for a very long time. I would not have put Cannon on this list when they first paid us money. I'm putting Cannon on this list now because once you know that place well enough, The best skiing in New England is there in the Franconia Notch area. There is so much stuff off in the woods that is like, how is this allowed to just be here? Type terrain that is just naturally occurring all over the place. And when they get snow, that place is my favorite place to spend a powder day because you're isolated. The place is never busy. A busy day at Cannon, you wait like 4 minutes in line. The accessibility that you have there is crazy. That part of New Hampshire is absolutely beautiful. Obviously, they do not have like a great lodging setup. They don't have a hotel. They don't have any of the amenities that you're like really looking for. But what they do have is the reason that lists like this exist. And that's good skiing. They have the best skiing in New England. All right, you tell me, what's your favorite resort in New England? What did I get wrong? Let me know in the comments what your list would be.